everyone, it's Vicky here, and I'm going to make a little bit of a different video this afternoon from the ones that I normally do. Most often I just talk about raw food and my experience as I have become a raw foodist, because that's really all that I have wanted to talk about, because so many other things in my life I consider to be very personal. But in the last few days I have been having an online conversation with a fellow YouTuber and trying to understand from that YouTuber where they're coming from, and I find myself struggling to make myself understood. So hopefully this video will perhaps provide some clarity in that sense. I'm a thinker. I love to think. I like to think about things. I like to decide whether or not they make sense to my mind. I like to try and understand them and pair them up against what I feel I already know, what I already understand to be true, and decide whether or not that continues to be the truth, if it rings true for me or not. And I try and stay really open to different ideas, and through the course of my life I've spent a lot of time studying various things. I won't go into great detail, but many different faith systems and cultures and various things. And, one of the things that I find is that we do as humans have a common bond, and that is that we do tend to be really great thinkers. We do tend to, when we have the luxury of time, be able to give things a lot of thought. And as I've gotten older, I've sort of asked myself, how do we decide what is true and what is not true? And the reason this is such a question, of course, is because there are many people in this world who believe they know the truth. And some of those people can be very, very forceful and very, very convincing in terms of what they understand to be the truth. And I can be too. In those areas where I believe I know the truth, I can be very forceful. And sometimes I'm wrong. And sometimes I have more learning to do. And so I try and continue to keep myself open to what is the truth, and is it possible that I am wrong? And I also keep myself open to the possibility that even the concept of truth is just that. It's just a concept that in our human language, in the way that our brain organizes things, we have decided what is true, or see things as being true or not true. And so in this conversation, just to back up a little bit, we were talking, or something came up about faith systems and how most of the organized faith systems on Earth, shared by humans, are not true. And so, I totally respect that this is that individual's opinion, and in trying to remain open to that opinion, in understanding that opinion, I asked the individual, how do you know? And is it possible you're wrong? And I found myself totally blocked by that YouTuber. And I'm not sure how to keep the conversation going or get the conversation going, just in terms of how do you know that that is true? Now, the response that I did get was that they had had dreams, and that as a result of those dreams, they felt that that was the truth. And I certainly feel the force of their conviction. And I've felt that before. There are a lot of people who believe that their systems of belief are 100% true. And, I won't necessarily argue with that, because for them, people who are fundamentalist Christians, for example, that is their truth. That is their truth. And for them, that is true. And so for this individual on YouTube, I just want you to know that I respect if for you what you're saying is your truth. What I would like to understand, and what I've hoped we could talk about, is if you wish me to agree with you, and perhaps you don't, and that's fine as well. I did come to your channel hoping to open up my mind and listen to what you have to say and give it some thought and decide whether or not I relate to what you're saying. I know you don't need me to accept your truth. I do, and I have understood that. What I want to ask you is if what you are suggesting is true, that you know the truth, could you please explain to me, how do you know, and is it possible you're wrong? And is it possible that the truth is actually just a human concept, and that rather than us having to come about to some system of organizing beliefs or faith systems, even at the highest level that you're suggesting, that this is also a human characteristic, the need to do this? I'm not trying to tell you you're wrong. I'm trying to understand where you're coming from. And I say that because I see other people on YouTube, and there seems to be something going on right now where people are looking for things, and people are looking perhaps to understand who they are or what their place is in the world. And I see people turning to religion. And again, for those people who are doing that, if you find your truth that way, then, peace be with you, and may you find and live in that truth, if that is what you need. For me, I'm just trying to learn, and so yes, I can be quite contrary and quite what's the right word? I think you mentioned something about me being spoiled. I think what you meant was that I was being kind of bratty by pushing and constantly pushing. Yeah, I'm going to push, because if someone tells me that they have the truth, and they have it, but other people don't, then of course I'm going to question it. And that's what I'm doing with you. So, just so that it's clear, so that our words and our intonation don't get caught and tangled up in each other. Let's not make this a personal attack, one on the other. If you have something you want to share, I hope we can do that as two reasonable, civilized people living our lives peacefully. And if not, then that's okay too. To me, if someone puts up a video for me to see, for the world to see, I'm part of the world, then, I would think that they would be willing to discuss it. But if not, that's cool too. That's your option. But I just would like to have a conversation about this concept of one truth, and whether or not truth is in of itself a concept as well, and that perhaps things just are.